Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kennedy Meadows South. What does that mean? That means that Pickles and I have successfully finished the desert section of the PCT. Woo woo! The first 700 miles is considered the desert section. You get to Kennedy Meadows South. This is the first major milestone on the Pacific Crest Trail. And then you start hiking into the Sierra Nevada mountains. And that is the next challenge on the trail. So everyone, welcome Pickles back to the channel.
Hi, happy to be back.
We thought we would just sit down and have a little chat about our experience in the desert and how we're feeling going into the Sierra. Just for, I don't know, just for fun really. Just Pickles wanted to come back on the channel, so here she is.
That's a rumor. I was forced back on.
I didn't know about that. Okay, so Pickles, I would love to know your thoughts on what did you expect from the desert section of the PCT versus what was reality?
The desert section was the section that I was looking forward to the least. I'm not very good with heat and all of that, so I was quite concerned about that. And yeah, it just, to me personally, I think I'm more excited about Oregon and Washington, so the desert section was always the very last thing on my list. But having finished it now, I'm of course very happy that it's done and that we made it this far without any major incidents other than a sprained ankle. But yeah, I think it's actually been quite fun and enjoyable. I've been very happy to be here most days. It has been very hot sometimes, but we got through it. Some were also suffering from the heat a bit. Yeah, I think those are my thoughts so far.
Yeah, you originally, when you were first thinking about coming out to the PCT, you weren't even going to do the desert section.
Yeah, I was just gonna not do the entire thing, just do Oregon and Washington. But ambition hit me and I did the entire thing now. I started doing the entire thing now. Hoping to do the entire thing.
And here you are.
I know.
So I heard a rumor the other day that you were so happy that you started crying. Is that true?
Potentially. No, the PCT has always been a good dream for me. So yeah, it's been really cool to be here.
Very nice. Yeah, I'd agree with pretty much everything you said. I thought the desert was going to be way different than it was. I thought it was going to be this barren, unbearably hot landscape where you'd be running into rattlesnakes left and right every day.
I did run into one yesterday. Quite a big one.
Tell them about that. I'm sure they're interested.
I was listening to music. I was having a good time going up quite our last mountain of the desert section, and there was this very well hidden rattlesnake, a huge rattlesnake, all brown, hidden on the ground. You couldn't see it. I didn't see it until my foot was literally right next to it and it started moving and rattling at me and straight away went into fighting position and I screamed a little and ran.
That's how I react when I get rattled at by them as well. Yeah, it was really funny. She was ahead of me on the trail and far enough where I couldn't see her. And there was a couple in between us, and they were stopped, and they pointed out the rattlesnake, and I couldn't see it. I was coming right up to it, and I was like, where is it? I don't see it. And they had to point exactly where it was. Yeah. It blended in so well, and it was massive.
It was so big.
But apparently, I was like, how did you guys see this? I would have totally missed that, but apparently it rattled at her.
I also almost missed it, but I understand it was angry. It was probably sunbathing, having a good time, and then I came along, so I'm not going to blame it.
Understandably, it was not super happy.
No.
Yeah, so anyway, no. I thought that the desert, was going to be, I thought I wasn't going to be able to find a bush to pee behind. I thought, what if there's rattlesnakes back there when I'm trying to do that? But alas, it is not. I've maybe seen and heard maximum 10 rattlesnakes over 700 miles, so the rumors are not true. Rattlesnakes are not everywhere, underfoot, lurking, waiting for you. I'm sure there are many more that I haven't seen that have been right there because they do blend in so well. But they're also not nearly as aggressive as I feared.
Yeah, like the one yesterday, like it went into fighting position basically, but it didn't do anything. It was just, I think it was rattled a bit.
Yeah, understandably so. But I would say there's been a lot more vegetation in the desert than I expected. A lot fewer rattlesnakes. It hasn't been nearly as hot most days. There have for sure been a few days where I've been struggling with the heat, where when your brain starts feeling fuzzy because you've gotten too much heat, and it's often hard to find shade in the middle of the day in the desert. So that's definitely been a bit of a struggle, but not nearly as bad as I expected. The water carries, honestly, haven't been as bad and as long as I expected.
Thanks to a lot of trail angels.
Yeah, so all trail angels out there, thank you so much for all of the kindness and work that you do on behalf of PCT hikers.
Yeah.
I don't know how we would do it without you, honestly, especially in this last stretch around from Tehachapi to Ridgecrest.
Yeah.
I'd say that was the most deserty desert of them all.
And there was a few water caches that were so vital, and without them I don't know how I would have done it. Like some of the water caches there were like, without them you would do like a 40-mile water carry, and that's just like, I couldn't carry this.
Yeah, just bananas. I mean, if you think about the fact that a liter of water has it weighs over 2 pounds, having to carry enough water for 30 miles would just be insane. But luckily, I think our longest water carry that we did have was about 20 miles. Yeah. Honestly, not that bad. It sucks having the extra weight, but not really a big deal at the end of the day, especially as backpacking equipment gets lighter and lighter. Yeah. Yeah, so I would say those are the things that surprised me the most. Also, it's really not, like, people talk about, like, 700 miles of desert, it's really mentally tough, you're doing the same thing all the time. But I found it to be so diverse.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think the vegetation definitely has, like, I'd agree on that point, and then generally the diversity was incredible. Like, we'd find different looking lizards and new plants and new flowers every now and then. And it's been really nice seeing how the landscape changes and then kind of sometimes goes back to what you've seen already and then changes again. It's been really cool.
Yeah, and it's been fun to learn, all the new plants and animals and everything. And thank you guys who watch my channel and leave comments. You guys have taught me so much. I mean, this has all been a brand new environment for me, and you too.
Yeah, completely new.
And you guys have given me so much information about what it is I'm looking at, because, the reality is we don't have a lot of cell phone service out here. Nope. Especially in this last section. I've barely had any at all. I could barely even send a text out. So it's not like I can constantly be researching the things that I'm seeing. Between the hiking all day, all the camp chores, all the chores when you go into towns, I just don't have time to do that. And I'm a big nature nerd, so I want to know what's around me. And so I just want to give a shout out to you guys who have shared information on those types of things, because otherwise I wouldn't know anything. So thank you. Let's see. And I would also say on the diversity of the desert too, like it's not all the same type of desert. It's not all the same environment in those 700 miles. And you are also, like, you're going through sections that are totally different, even like taking aside the diversity of different parts of the desert. Like going through the San Jacinto wilderness, it's higher elevation, pine forest. Yeah. You're getting big views. Like, it's a totally different environment. It's cooler up there. Same thing with Mount Baden-Powell. You have the Mission Creek section, which has its own challenges. So it's really not this monotonous march through 700 miles of the same thing whatsoever.
No, there was also way more uphill than I had hoped for.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was supposed to be flat.
Yeah, I was hoping for a flat desert. I was lied to, and now we're about to go into a section with even more uphill. I'm kind of like done.
Yeah, I know it's about to get a lot steeper, but I did really think the desert was going to be more chill. But there was, and it was in a lot of ways, especially at the beginning of the PCT. I'd say that section especially was very chill. But I was definitely surprised by, I purposely didn't do a ton of research on the different parts of the PCT. I wanted to be surprised. And I was surprised about the mountains and elevation gain.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a lot of videos last year, but I wasn't thinking so much about the technical details back then. I was just dreaming about doing it this year now. And yeah, a lot of the elevation gain has really surprised me.
Yeah, same. Also, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there's cheering in the background because every time somebody walks up to Kennedy Meadows South, the general store, everyone cheers and rings a cowbell.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hooray, you made it! You made it through the desert!
Yeah, I was looking forward to it like for days now because yeah, it's very iconic and part of it, and like it was so cool that it happened for us as well.
Yeah, it made it feel really special. And
Yeah.
we walked up here together too.
Yeah.
She waited for me this morning so we could walk up together, so that was
Yeah.
super fun. Let's see. Do you have any advice for aspiring through hikers on making it through this first 700 miles of the PCT?
I said earlier, find yourself a glow stick that you can tag along with because that's going to make it a lot easier and more fun. No, I think it's definitely super helpful to have people around you who can cheer you up when you're having a shitty day, and who you can cheer up when they're having a shitty day, and who you can chat with while you're hiking up some mountain, and it kind of distracts you and gets you along the way. I mean, do a few, like, all the usual stuff, like do a few shakedown hikes, make sure that you're only taking what you really need because the water carries are going to be heavy and you don't want to carry any additional weight. We heard of someone who rocked up to Cleve and with just a sweater as a warm layer. You're definitely going to need a lot more warm clothes, surprisingly. Like last night, I was freezing cold at like 4 a.m. and I had to find something to cover my head with because I was, like, everything else was warm, but like I was freezing with the parts sticking out. So you definitely need a lot of warm clothing at night because the desert, hotter during the day, very cold at night. Don't know, you say something.
Okay. Let's see. I feel like this may be obvious, but bring a lot of sun protection.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you're out in the sun all day, every day. A lot of times there's no shade for hours in the day, so...
I mean, you can see from my lack of tan, I'm covered up fully. The only thing sticking out are the tips of my fingers and my face. Because I don't want to have the hassle of putting on sun lotion all the time. Plus, I'm wearing knee braces and they're uncomfortable on bare skin. But... yeah, a lot of people are fully covered up just to be really protected from the sun.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do without like my sun hoodie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, my arms are not tan compared to my legs. I'm wearing shorts and a sun hoodie, and it's definitely doing its job. So that's a big help. It also just helps you to, you know, not feel the sun quite so much as it's bearing down on you for hours of the day. I would just say, like, make sure that you're paying attention to where the different water sources are throughout the day. Far out is really helpful for that. People leaving comments. So also shout out to the people who actually leave the comments on Far Out and say the water's flowing or the water's dry or whatever. Huge, huge, huge help. And I have a video on my tips for the first 500 miles of the trail. So that all still stands. So if you're interested in that, go find that video. But yeah, I would just say generally desert, not nearly as bad as they say. I found it to be really beautiful in a lot of places, and I thought it was a really great warm-up to the trail.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about this a little bit, but on the Appalachian Trail, you kind of are, you have to dive in head first. The terrain is really difficult, and you're so tired and so sore all the time for the first few weeks of the trail. So it was really nice. With this trail, it kind of starts you a little slower, and you don't have to be quite so, I don't want to say miserable, because I love the AT so much, and I loved my experience, and I dream of going back there. But my body hurt so bad for the first few weeks of that trail, and that has just not been my experience out here. Like, yeah, I get tired, I get sore, I get so that I need 0 days, but it's not to that degree. So that's been nice.
Yeah. Maybe another piece of advice, like every now and then it's possible to skip quite a tough section. And some people do take that as an out and like to skip it. Everyone can hike their own hike, but I think I've kind of taken the desert section as my warm-up and training to get my body ready for what's coming up next. So I didn't want to skip the tough section, even though yesterday I was very tempted to skip the last hill, but there was no way around it. But yeah, I'd say skip as little as possible, just because you need the strength in the Sierras.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think like doing that hard stuff is part of the experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wouldn't feel great about myself if I was doing that personally. Yeah. But again, hike your own hike. I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I fully agree.
Yeah, just to see it as training, the tough stuff, because it's going to get even tougher now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going into the Sierra feeling pretty strong.
Yeah.
I know, I mean, I've been in there before. I know how tough it is, but I'm hoping, since I'm coming from several weeks of backpacking instead of my desk this time, I'm hoping that I'll fare a little better. But how are you feeling going into the Sierra?
I mean, generally nervous, excited as well. Me personally, I have very, very little snow experience, basically nothing. So again, I found myself a glow stick to tag along with, who has kindly volunteered to take me through the tougher sections before she goes on her little side mission.
To Carson City, the Carson City to Canada quest
yes.
is what she's talking about.
So I'm very grateful that I can tag along.
Tell them about how you're forcing me to do Mount Whitney.
Oh yeah, I'm forcing her to do Mount Whitney because I want to do Mount Whitney. If I'm already here on this side of the world doing the PCT, of course I want to go up Whitney. She's already been, so theoretically she wouldn't have to. But she's being very nice and she's coming along with me. I have to buy her cake in advance, which is fine. Not in advance.
No, afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, she told me I cannot have the cake until I do the mountain.
Yes. So yeah, I'm forcing her along with me, which is going to be really fun.
Really, really fun. Yeah, actually, I remember being on the John Muir Trail and, you know, walking the kind of offshoot from the PCT up on the JMT to go up Mount Whitney, and I thought to myself, wow, I really wouldn't want to do this if I was hiking the PCT. I'm really glad I'm doing it now so that I don't have to do it when I hike the PCT.
And here we are, she's doing it anyway.
Here we are, surprise. I will in fact be going back up Mount Whitney, I guess. Although it looks like in a few days we could get some snow in the Sierra.
But we were just told it's going to be barely anything.
A
dusting, so no excuses here.
But I'm like, oh no, I hope that doesn't overlap with the day that we have to do Whitney or Forester.
Yeah, hopefully. And the weather might change as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, mountain weather, it's several days out at this point. I mean, we're not leaving Kennedy Meadows South for 2 days, and then it'll take us a few days to get to Whitney.
So we've got a bit of time, and the weather has a bit of time to get better again.
Yeah, it does look like there's a cold front coming in, though, for a few days. So.
Yeah. But yeah, we keep checking post-Tola quite often, and the snow levels are trending down significantly. So I'm hopeful that I picked a good year for doing the PCT.
And especially in the South Sierra, it looks like snow levels are far below average at this point. So
I mean, we're currently having a heat wave. It's super warm, which is usually not something I'm happy about, but I'm very happy about this heat wave.
Yeah, hopefully it'll melt all that stuff out before we get there. I mean, I'm sure we're still going to hit plenty of snow, but the more of it that'll melt before we get there, the better. Yeah. Although I am kind of worried. I'm like, obviously I don't want any deep water crossings, but I think since the snow's below average, hopefully we won't deal with anything too.
Otherwise, we just find ourselves a strong man who can carry our packs across.
We are on the lookout for a tall, strong man who can
join our little group here.
Yeah, first he can test the creek crossings, and then if they're too deep, he can carry our bags across. Yeah. So if you know anyone, send him our way.
Yes. We'd be very happy to have someone else.
Yeah, we've lost our trail family. Yeah. Do you want to talk about what happened? Where did they go?
We're just too fast.
We're too fast for the boys.
Who would have thought? No, but like a couple people are a bit behind because one had to take a few extra zeros to deal with some personal stuff. Someone else got a bit unwell. So it's currently just the two of us, really.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
Not as exciting as it sounds. We're not scaring them all away. Just a few.
I think we'll find some more friends.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried.
No.
Okay, so let's talk about our plan going
Yes.
into the Sierra.
Which is really just her plan. I'm coming along.
Okay, so we're hiking out of Kennedy Meadows South. We're planning to bring enough food to get us to Kearsarge Pass. So we'll go over Kearsarge Pass and go out to Independence and probably take a zero either in Independence, or we might bop over to Bishop from there. We'll see. And then from there, we'll obviously get back on the trail. We're going to hike to Vermilion Valley Resort, VVR, and probably Nero into VVR, take a shower, do some laundry, get a bunch of food. Hike out. A couple days later, we'll get to Red's Meadow, and then we're going to go into Mammoth Lakes.
Yeah.
Probably for another zero.
Mm-hmm.
And then get back on the trail from there. And eventually, we will separate because...
Very sad already.
I got to take off and do some bigger, faster miles to get to Carson City for my Carson City to Canada quest portion of my journey, and she is going to take some time in Yosemite Valley.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, because Yosemite and Yellowstone, of course, are very high on my list of places to see, and since we're walking into Yosemite, why not take a few days off there, walk around, see what's happening. I'm still on the fence about doing Half Dome just because I'm not very comfortable with heights, but like if I'm already there, I might as well try and get a permit, and if I can't get a permit, it's the universe telling me not to do it, so we'll see.
So if anyone has any experience doing Half Dome,
Yeah,
give Pickles some encouragement
and advice.
and advice. I'd be willing to do it if I was going to be there, but I can't. I got to go to Carson City.
Yeah.
So you're on your own.
And then after that, I'll try and walk very slowly so that Glowstick can catch me again. And I might also take a few more days maybe in South Lake Tahoe, depending on how things go, because probably by that time my body will need a little break just to relax after the worst parts of, or like the toughest parts of the Sierras,
Yeah, for sure.
to then really enjoy the rest.
Yeah, I know when I finished the John Muir Trail, I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
Granted, it was 2023, so it was a really big snow year, and I did do it fairly quickly. I started at Horseshoe Meadows, which is the jump off for Lone Pine, hiked to Yosemite Valley, and just took 1 0 day at Vermilion Valley Resort. So I'm glad that this time we're going to take a couple of extra days and do it a bit slower and a bit more chill. Maybe not slower in terms of miles per day, but taking some extra rest time. But I know I was
Just enjoy it more as well, because I feel like after 0 day, I generally enjoy trail a lot more again.
Oh, for sure. Me too. And, you know, when I was on the JMT, I had to rush back to work. Don't have to do that now. So that's kind of a beautiful part of being on a big thru hike.
Yeah. Also, after my sprained ankle, when I took the 00 as I was forced to, I felt so much better afterwards. Like my body just had an extra day to recover, and that felt so much better, and I was able to ramp up the miles to catch Glowstick again.
Nice. How's your ankle doing these days?
Much better. I think especially last few days, like every now and then I still felt a twinge when I moved my ankle the wrong way, but like nothing is like not so bad anymore. I think we're at like 95% again.
Nice, very good.
Which is good for the Sierras.
Yes, of course. Let's see. Do you want to talk again about your fundraiser and remind people what you're raising money for on this hike?
I'm doing a fundraiser while I'm here for World Central Kitchen, which is a charity organization that works in regions like Ukraine. They helped during the LA wildfires. They're currently helping a lot in Gaza as well, where they work with local chefs. They give them supplies and money in order to feed the people who really need it. I think it's a really great organization. They're really like on the ground, helping as much as they can, and I'm doing a fundraiser for it, and I'm sure Glowstick will put the link in her notes again.
I will put the link in the show notes in case anyone is interested in donating.
And anyone who has already donated after my last video, thank you so much. That was very kind.
She was so excited,
Yes.
you guys. It meant the world to her.
It really does.
Like, she was just so delighted that people would be willing to do that. So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you. You're all spectacular.
For sure. Like, yeah, it's really nice. It gets me up the mountains knowing that people are giving a bit of money for my fundraiser.
Yeah, and you know, she's just very, like, I know she's a hard German, of course, but she really cares about world issues and people and all of that. So it's just, she talks about these issues a lot, and you can tell she really, really cares. So anyway, thank you again to anyone who has donated. Let's see, anything else that we should mention before we say sayonara?
I can't think of anything.
Okay, remind people where they can follow you if they'd like to follow your journey.
If you would like to follow, you can follow me on Instagram. It's STINETEA. And yeah, happy to have any of Glowsticks followers coming along as well if you want to see her running away in my stories again.
She likes to post videos of me running away from her.
Yeah, she does that a lot.
If you'd like to see those, they'll be on her Instagram page. All right, well, stay tuned. Tomorrow I will show you guys around the Kennedy Meadows South General Store, and hopefully we're going to get over to Grumpy's and what's the
Triple Crown Outfitters.
Triple Crown Outfitters tomorrow as well.
And 2 Foot Adventures from Julian is here as well.
Oh, yeah.
But they're right outside the general store.
Yeah. I'll show you guys around there tomorrow too. Today it was priorities, shower, laundry, and food, obviously. Yeah. But tomorrow we have to actually like organize ourselves and get ready for the Sierra.
Do our resupply.
Which is always my worst. I just hate doing the resupply. It's like the worst chore for me.
It's the most serious I've ever seen her. It doesn't get more serious than that for her. She's so grumpy and she's always so smiley. So seeing her doing resupplies is crazy.
She means like, okay, so we were in Ridgecrest the other day and we were putting together some resupply boxes for the Sierra. Like we just like often, I'm a vegetarian, she's a vegan. We don't find great options for the backpacker meals in a lot of places. So we decided to order some and then send them to ourselves in the Sierra. So we had to make 3 boxes each the other day in Ridgecrest. And I was getting really grumpy.
Very grumpy.
It was a lot of work. But anyway, we have to organize ourselves for this first section of the Sierra tomorrow.
7 days of food in 1 backpack. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll show you guys around tomorrow.
Yes.
And wish us luck as we move into this next section of the PCT.
And don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It really supports our channel.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.